8 6 to 7 ounce ready cracked Maine lobster tails. This is something gorgeous. 5 easy payments, free shipping and handling. Jessica Hart is joining us live via Teams to talk to us about Hancock. And in case you are unfamiliar with the brand, we're going to have her first talk to us about the brand, then talk to us about preparations. I see you have your wine there, Jess. I love that. It is Saturday night, after all. All right, so Jessica Hart is the pretty lady you see there from her home kitchen, and she is slicing up some Hancock lobster. Tell us about the brand.
Hi, David. So good to see you. Yes, wine pairs beautifully with lobster tail. And I'm gearing up, for Mother's Day tomorrow. So what a nice way to start by dipping this Hancock lobster, Maine lobster tail into this delicious butter. Look at this here. And Hancock Lobster, we are in Maine. We have over 20 years experience shipping legendary Maine lobster experiences across the country. And it's just a small business with big values. And the team, the lobstermen, rise with the sun. They go out at Portland Head Light in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. And we've got some beautiful footage of the cold, rocky Maine waters that they source these lobsters from. And it is just the most beautiful place, the most beautiful commute, as we call it, from the Portland Head Lighthouse. This is one of my favorite lighthouses actually in the world probably, and I'm a big lighthouse fan. But you can see those cold, rocky waters on the shores of Maine, and they brine the meat, and they make the most delicious, fresh, succulent lobster tail. And just an experience that you need to have with Maine lobster. And we do it right every single time. You taste Maine in every single bite and the salt air. And David, as you know, it's so important to know your source, know exactly where your lobster is coming from. And we do the best of it at Hancock Lobster.
Now, Jess, I noticed that you've got some butter there beside you. This comes with butter?
It does come with butter, yes. And you can see here in the shot, the full shot, we've got those 2 sticks of butter. They come in the box. This is how the lobster tails will come to you. And you can see the shell is darker, but when you cook these up, then you'll get that traditional red lobster tail that you know. So it comes darker, and you will know when it is done because it has that signature red, orangish red, I would say.
Well, it's sort of like shrimp. It pinks up a little bit after it's been cooked. In your case, it turns more orangish red. And this is lovely. Then you pull that lobster meat out. Now, the best way to melt that butter, because it comes in sticks, should we put it in the microwave? Should we put it on top of the stove? How best do you think to melt it?
Way is fine. It does kind of start to bubble up a little bit, so you want to be aware of that, whether you're cooking it on the stove or in the microwave. I put a little bit of wax paper on top. Perhaps you've got some sort of silicone gadget that you can use on top, either on the stovetop or in the microwave, to prevent that bubbling up from making a big mess. But really, really easy to do. When I was baking all the lobster tails yesterday, when I did a little surf and turf when I started the process, I just used a pad of butter on top of the lobster tail and a couple of pads of butter in the pan. And so you can use it that way too. You can do it for dipping, but what is better with lobster than butter? So a match made in heaven.
Bathe it in the butter.
And you can prepare it however you like.
What I do many times, when I go home tonight, I'm going to have the Rostelli filet, as I mentioned. I'm going to cook on top of the stove with some butter and some avocado oil. What I do is I take a spoon once the butter is melted and it mixes with the avocado oil and the signature seasoning, and I spoon it on top of the meat. And I get it nice. And I mean, you do the same thing with lobster. You can spoon the butter on top. Now, what seasonings, does it come with seasonings, or do we put traditional seasoning on there, or what's the story?
You can do your own seasoning mixture. And I do want to show you, David, this tail comes ready cracked. So that means that there is a big cut down the middle. You don't have to get out your scissors and cut it, and start slicing through it. And that allows you to open up the lobster tail and pull out the meat. So there it is. The lobster tail comes right out, and you can just see how succulent and delicious, and just, what an elevated experience you're going to have. When I'm seasoning mine and cooking them, of course, the butter is a big component. But then, I do some kosher salt, some pepper, and, some parsley on top. And I keep it really simple. As you know, David, I have 3 girls, and they have, their tastes aren't fully, developed yet. So we want to keep the recipe really simple. And the same goes for, when my parents are coming over and we're eating together. You can add some more spices for people that enjoy it. You can do Old Bay, like I did with the seafood boil here. We did a little bit of Old Bay when I was cooking this up. But I like to keep it really simple. Kosher salt, pepper, a little bit of parsley. You could do some garlic salt or that type of thing.
You can sprinkle the Old Bay in the melted butter, and then you can dip it. Oh, that would be delightful. That would be delicious.
I like that.
And you could
You
put
always have such good ideas.
You could also dip French fries in that too. I'm just saying. My shoes would taste good if you dipped them in butter. But and people put a little Old Bay in the butter, then that's even better. But this is quite delightful. Please don't miss out on this because you're getting the creamery butter. Now, is this butter salted or not?
It is salted, yes.
Yeah. So, and I will tell you, if you're putting it in the microwave, cover it. I made the mistake one time of melting butter in the microwave and it exploded. It exploded everywhere. I was cleaning butter up for weeks out of my microwave. So cover it or do it on top of the stove and do it on low heat because it should melt very gradually. And then you come away with something lovely. Now, if you want to do what's called a low country boil, then you combine the lobster with sausage and potatoes and little corn coblets and more of that butter.
That's one of my favorite summertime meals, and it really is so beautiful with these lobster tails. I actually want to lift it up for you to make sure you can see it. So I did small fingerling potatoes, the ears of corn, and you boil your water. I got some Old Bay in there, some salt, that type of stuff, and you put things in. Like the potatoes I put in first because they take a little bit longer to cook.
Right. And
then you add in the corn, and then I added in my lobster tail because when the water is boiling, they only need about 10 minutes to boil. And I do have one of those little, I guess there's kind of a steamer pot, right? And you pull it out and it lets all the water drain.
Sure,
and
like
then,
a colander.
Yeah, you're able to just dump it on, sometimes I do it outside on the patio. We'll dump it with craft paper and everybody just eats with their hands.
Or newsprint. You can put it on newsprint. Either way. Now, is your lobster thawed or do you put it in the boiling water frozen?
I suggest thawing for 24 hours.
Okay.
And then you can pull it out. You can bake the lobster tail off like I did, and I pulled the tail out first, put it on top. I put the pat of butter on like we talked about. I seasoned it. And you can bake then at 375 for 15 minutes. You can boil, and you can boil it with a low country boil or boil it by itself for about 10 minutes. You can grill it on each side for about 5 minutes, or you can steam these, in a steamer basket or something else. And you can make so many different recipes, whether it's surf and turf, or, a lobster roll, or pair it with a salad and green beans. But it really is just such a delicious taste of Maine, and it elevates any experience. So it can be, a special meal like, for a Father's Day or a picnic with family and friends, a graduation meal, or you could just, say, I have 8 lobster tails and I'm going to pull 2 out tonight and have a special meal, with my husband. And it just really makes for such a special experience. And there's a little lobster roll that I made, Connecticut style, just butter and lobster meat. Delicious.
Nothing like it. I mean, come on now. Miss Jess, Mother's Day is tomorrow. So we want to wish you an early happy Mother's Day. When does your university have commencement? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I have to think back. It was like this weekend or next weekend when I graduated long time ago.
Well, so did I. But it's important to know that we wish you happy commencement, happy Mother's Day, and happy Lobster Day.
Celebration. Let's make anything a celebration, right?
All right, and Jess is coming back. She's got the chicken strips a little later in this last half hour. But Jess, always good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, David. I'll see you soon.
All right, friend. Now, in case you missed it earlier,